Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Good Guys Sports. Today, we are bringing you a 2026 Final Four special. That's right. We've made it to April, and we have made it to the Final Four taking place this weekend in Indianapolis. We have some great matchups, some great Sweet 16, Elite Eight games that got us here to the Final Four. So, we're going to be previewing this men's Final Four bracket, telling you how these teams got here, and giving our predictions for the Final Four and who we think the national champion will be. Let's go ahead and get this thing started off. Obviously, our first game, as we record here on Friday tomorrow, will be the Yukon Huskies taking on the Fighting Illini of Illinois, a 2-3 matchup there on Saturday, coming out of the South bracket and the East regional, respectively. And then after that will be the two one seeds, collision course, big matchup, Arizona taking on top seeded Michigan, both teams emerging from the Midwest and the West region. So obviously, let's start with the first game, Yukon, Illinois. I mean, we got to talk about it. It was a crazy game in the Elite Eight between Yukon and Duke. Duke was in control late in that game, and Yukon was able to flip the script. And obviously, the big last minute shot for Yukon, Hurley going crazy. It was one of the most memorable college basketball Elite Eight games in quite some time. And UConn came out on top. So you have to give them credit for executing down the stretch. They're taking on an Illinois team, Jack, that uh, beat a unfancied 9 seed Iowa in their elite matchup. You got to be who's in front of you. Impressive win against Houston as well, I thought, in the Sweet 16. So UConn, Illinois, Jack, obviously these two teams have taken different paths to get here, but what do you make of these two teams, their path to the Final Four, and this matchup in particular as well?
Well, first of all, Blake, let me just point out and say that was to what you just said, that was a great, epic, exciting um, game at the buzzer with 3 seconds remaining by none other than Brandon Williams, who was a hometown Indiana kid who would get to play in his home stadium from where he grew up there in Indy, and you and you and you and it really it really points out to why I think Duke lost that game. I don't think now why I think Duke lost that game. I don't think it has something to do with Duke losing. I think it has something to do with UConn's success on the men's side, simply because ever since their revenge from their last Final Four game in 1990 when they first met in the semifinals, and then and then a few years later they got UConn got revenge in '99 and in 2004 when those last teams played. That was happened to be a semifinal game that year, and it goes to show you that on the Duke perspective, and really UConn just was the to me was a really the was was really the very physical team and efficient team in this game. Duke was a great team and better team, but the tougher team usually wins those games this late in the game in this March Madness tournament, where pretty much, as we all know, anything can happen. So a lot of that has to do with some great TD moment players, of how some great finishes, and you think about it, Duke was up 19 points at halftime, and they still couldn't close it out and win the game. And this now now you got to think that this isn't the first time that happened to uh to the Duke basketball team. They lost to a double digit 15. They were up 15. Now this isn't something new, something new new to them. They lost by a they lost by a blown 15-point lead at halftime against Texas Tech. They um they lost big they lost big in the in the Final Four last year against the Houston Cougars when they had Cooper Flag and Concon Nipple as one of the best players on the team. So I don't think it was really John Shire's fault. I think it was just complete accident that that the NCAA tournament just wants to get this game delivered and just want to just really just have to that you have to understand and realize that Brandon Millers was ice cold in his previous 3-point shot makes until the very last second where it went down buckets and he went red hot at the end and realizing that he thought he tied the game, but then realizing of the Sicilian group of Dan Hurley and those guys just really got to give them a lot of credit because they know that they were up against and that UConn just really just is just really the tough is really the they made a Goliath the Goliath team to beat so far in this tournament and so far that really shows us and so far they have and I just think that and and so far and so far that UConn is just was really just really showed you that they were just that they just found out that they just were lucky that they were, that Miller's game-winning shot just thought he tied it, but they somehow got lucky and found a way to win the end of the game. I mean, you look at it for example, Chris Jenkins. I know this is the thing in the past, but Villanova game-winning shot to win it in national championship against North Carolina that is a perfect example of one, and then Gonzaga against UCLA in the Final Four is also another one that comes to mind. Also, it also took place in Indianapolis, and
Yeah.
yeah, and so and so I look back against Florida against Iowa in the last second game winning shot, same kind of thing. So it really shows you to me that in this tournament where a game always delivers, and that's what it really shows you about this about this UConn and Duke team. And unfortunately, John Sire and the Blue Devils, and look, they had a great season. Isaiah Evans and the Boozer brothers. It wasn't really all their fault. They did all they could, but it was just still happened to be that the Yukon Huskies and Dana Hurley and Mullins and the Huskies just got hot at the right time, and that's just why the Huskies are have advanced and moved on, and why they're a reason why they're back in the Final Four for a reason.
What about this Illinois team, Jack? Obviously, maybe not getting the same amount of coverage, but they've been pretty impressive coming out of that South region, haven't they? A couple of big victories on their belt. They're going to give the Huskies a good contest here in Indy, you think?
It's interesting because Champaign is not very far from Indianapolis, and I'm going to be expecting a lot of orange taking over Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is all going to unfold and play out. But I'm expecting a very interesting, tight game in the first Final Four matchup between the Huskies and Fighting Illini. But if you want to go back to the last time that those teams met each other, it was on Black Friday on the Thanksgiving holiday where UConn actually went on to win that game, but out of the last previous matchups that UConn and the Fighting Illini of Illinois faced each other, um, it was an NCAA tournament game back in 2016 in the Boston region. If I recall, that was one of those games, and UConn also won this game as UConn South was happened to be on one of those teams that must won it. So it does show you that although the games won't be resulting in a tight game or exciting tight game as a result in these matchups, but I would expect this game to be more I wouldn't say really more competitive and more exciting to watch, but I would say it was just but I would say this one's going to be like a more slight kind of the edge kind of game, if you will.
For sure, for sure. BL man, what do you make of UConn, Illinois? A couple good passes to the final, some crazy games. What do you make those two teams in this matchup here in the Final Four?
I man, I think UConn is they're riding on free money right now. So I think I don't know, man. When you they should have never beat Duke. Duke let that game go. They squeezed in. A win is a win. They're in. I think for that reason, I'm going to choose Illinois. I know that's crazy. I think Illinois gets it just because I don't know, man. Duke should be there. It's tough, but as Jackson said, I think Illinois wins that game.
So you've got Illinois in that one.
Yeah, Illinois beat UConn.
Okay, okay. Jackson, what was your pick for this one?
I'm actually going to be taking the Yukon Huskies to win this game.
Ooh, Dan
You got the
Hurley, baby.
Huskies.
Little Dan Hurley
You
action,
got the
Jackson.
Cannot,
momentum
yeah,
with the
yeah, you cannot
Huskies.
go against
You ride the hot
Dan
hand.
Hurley. Yep,
Fair enough,
that's
fair
right.
enough. No, I think this is an interesting matchup for sure. Like we mentioned, that Duke UConn game was crazy. I'm still not really sure exactly how Duke lost that, to be fair, but that's March for you. You get these crazy games, these crazy endings. So that's par for the course. Maybe Illinois is being slept on a little bit, I think, to be fair, um, in terms of they haven't really. I mean, they beat Houston pretty comprehensively. Um, and then obviously they beat Iowa in the similar fashion, Iowa being a 9 seed who they themselves had big wins against Florida and Nebraska to get to that point. So maybe it wasn't a huge shock that they were able to beat that 9 seed Iowa, to punch their ticket to the Final Four. But I mean, we watched a good bit of Illinois in some of these games, and I'm pretty impressed with them, to be honest. And I think UConn has just found a way to survive, kind of like hustle, staying in games. But I think in that game against Duke, I think Duke beat themselves more than UConn beat Duke, if that makes sense. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna go with BL. I'm gonna go with the Illini here. I think people are buying into the UConn hype, the Hurley hype. I think pe people are sleeping on the Illini here, so I got to go with the orange here, Jack.
Ooh, Jackson.
Ooh,
Look at look at look at Blake with the Masters Cup
that's
as
very
well. I mean,
bold
doesn't
of
go
you
unnoticed.
of that
Cheers.
of
Is it bold? I mean, Illinois is favored actually by a point and a half, by the way. But so I think it's going to be tight. But I could see an argument for either team in this one, to be fair. All right,
yeah, I agree.
let's jump to the other big Final Four matchup. This is probably the big ticket matchup that a lot of people had in their brackets. Of course, both being number one seeds. I'm referring to the Arizona Wildcats taking on Michigan, the Wolverines, in the Final Four game, the second game on Saturday, April 4th. This is a big one, guys. I mean, there's no other way to say it, really. Michigan has been a strong team throughout this tournament. Um, they really haven't been tested, you have to say, that strongly in some of these games. Like they they took care of Alabama, they took care of Tennessee, um, in the Elite Eight and Sweet 16 respectively. So maybe you'd argue their path to the Final Four wasn't maybe as strong, given the fact that some of the higher seeds, I'm thinking of like a Iowa State ended up losing to Tennessee, Virginia ended up losing to that sixth ranked Tennessee team as well. Um, and then maybe Bama wasn't as strong as we thought in that game, but at the same time, you have to give credit to Michigan for getting the job done, right? I'm a little bit unsure about how tough that Midwest bracket was, but I think Arizona deserves a lot of credit because I think they've been probably the most impressive basketball team, college basketball team I've seen this tournament. Um, just to be frank about it, I mean the victory against Arkansas, who I think as a 4 seed are a really good 4 seed. Even the victory heck against Utah State, I thought they played really well, and then definitely in the game against Purdue in that Elite Eight, who obviously Purdue, they're known for being a good basketball program, have good players. And that game was neck and neck early on, but they really pulled away. I think Arizona showed their class pretty strongly late in that game. I've been really impressed by Arizona, Jackson. So I'll go ahead and just throw it out there and give my pick. I think Arizona's going to win this game. And I think they're probably going to be my pick for the national champion. I'm pretty high on the Wildcats, Jackson. Going to be honest with you here, man.
Oh, this is going to be a heavyweight chess. This is going to be a heavyweight chess matchup. The battle of the one seeds right there. I mean, this game could really decide. It can go either way. This is going to be a. I could see. I could. This is going to be a pick 'em game for me. I could see this game going either ways. And the way I look at it is that you have the front court battle in this game. You have lead by Toby Warka 9 points RPG is, and most of the criteria is by far for the key matches for this game for me is Michigan counters with a Big Ten Player of the Year and Yaksa Margaret and Amaya Rowe, those guys, and this Michigan team lost to Purdue Boilermakers in this right in the Big Ten championship game against those Purdue Boilermakers. So it really does show you that this Michigan team is getting closer to at least possibly number one national championship. But I'm not getting that quite far yet, look ahead yet. But as for Arizona, on the Arizona side of things, the Wildcats to me just the way I mean this is going to be a very Arizona. You're talking about two programs that are combined with 35 and 36 wins combined, and this is really going to be this kind of fun matchup to play here. And I do want to point out that their Arizona coach was supposed to be scheduled for interview for a job at UNC, but that's now off the table because
Looks like he's staying, right?
Yes, he is most likely. Yes, that's what my sources are hearing. Most likely going to be staying with the Wildcats, and so Coach Pete and Brian James and those guys. Right now, I feel like to me is going to be the difference maker in this game. But the way I see it in this second game in the Final Four, the last possession of the game, whoever has the ball last wins the game. That's just really how I see it. But
Ooh, buzzer beater Jackson.
yes,
I could see that. Yeah,
much like what happened in the UConn Duke game in the last round in Elite Eight. But I could definitely very very well see that in play in this game. So I have to
So what do you see here, Jack?
So what I see here is that what I'm seeing here is that for the Michigan Wolverines.
Yep. What's your analysis?
Is that my allowances is that Aaliyah Carmborough and Troy Dickerson and Malone Johnson and Amira, all their centers and point forwards, and for Dusty May, who's back in the Final Four, and for the first time since this FIU team was last appeared in one when he was the head coach when he was in the Final Four the last time around, and so Tommy Lloyd is really a new blood for him because he's never been to one. Although Arizona has won in Indiana in the Final Four in '97, I don't know, Blake. I mean, look, these games are evenly matched, and this could really decide it. But I think the toughness, and I'm probably going to give this, and so I am probably going to, and so I'm probably going to, and so I tell you, and I'll tell you what, this game could go decide it and go either way because all I know is who I have winning it,
Which is
I am going to be taking
the suspense is killing me.
I'm going to be taking those victors back here. He's singing my song. Victors make the those back hero held to the bell.
I don't know whose fight song that is. I'm in trouble.
I still don't know.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you who I'm going to take.
Okay.
I'm going to be taking the Wolverines, and we're going to play the fight song.
Let's go, baby.
Okay.
Let's go.
Hell to the vectors, hell the Mishrak rock heroes, to Mishrak
Guess what, Jackson?
and
Guess
the
what?
heroes, and to the best Oh, to
Okay,
the
that's
big
enough.
bird
That's enough.
down
All
the
right, all
hills,
right.
down the
Yep, that's good.
meadows,
You can
and
hit
the
pause now.
towns
Yep,
of
that's
Gringos,
good.
the West. Woo!
All right, yeah, I'm meeting you now. All
Jackson,
right,
I think that was you
Blake.
almost got to your first mute of the good 10 years good guy sports.
I just gave it to him, by the way. So clock it off. Clock it off. BL, the floor is yours. Michigan, Arizona. How do you see this one playing out, man?
Oh man, hey, listen, you know, the big blue, the big five, back in the day, Chris Webber, they wanted to wear longer shorts. And the coach said, if you guys keep winning, you can wear longer shorts. And they won the whole entire tournament. It's been a long time. It's been decades since that happened. I think Big Blue is back. I mean, listen, they got humbled by the basketball school of Indiana. Indiana is now a football school. Maybe Michigan's back to being a basketball school, and the football school of Michigan will trade places with Indiana. So I think Big Blue's going to win. Go Michigan.
Okay, yeah, big blue, big blue. I'm on the island here with the Wildcats. To be fair, I think this is going to be a tight one, and honestly, I think either way you could see it. Um, these two teams, probably the two best teams that we've seen in the tournament so far, matching up in the Final Four. Maybe they're perhaps unlucky to not be matching up in the championship game. But so obviously, so Jackson, you've got Michigan and UConn in your projected championship game. Who do you have as your national champion? Out of curiosity, and I'll ask you to unmute yourself as well. Now you're on you're on mute now. If you can figure out how to unmute yourself and give us your analysis.
Okay, sorry.
No
I'm
more
gonna
fight songs, and we'll be
okay,
okay.
well, it's all good now. So let's get that out of the way now.
Sure.
Okay, so Michigan can enjoy the celebration all they want after what could be their win against Arizona, but I could be wrong. Either way, they'll have a great season. But at the end of the day, I don't see any of those teams um, beating the Yukon Huskies of Dan Hurley, Danny Hurley, and Brandon Mills, and those Huskies, and those young star players off the bench. They're just going to make some big plays. Look, they're no stranger in this team. They are going to win their third title, in the last 3 years of the previous 10 seasons. They're going to in the last 3 years and seasons. I expect UConn, the Huskies. I say both the women and the men's are going to cut. It's happened before. They're going to do it again. That
Wow.
both the men's and women's
Wow.
teams are going to cut down the nets for the UConn Huskies. UConn is a basketball school in Source, Connecticut. Connecticut. It's here to stay, and the Huskies are going to be national champions, and they're cutting down the nets on Sunday night in Arizona in Glendale, and then they will be cutting down the nets on Monday night in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. It's here to the Huskies. The Huskies are champions of college basketball on both men's and women's. They're going to get it done, and I expect they will. And both the men and women are are going to party on the campus of Source, Connecticut. It's going to go crazy. They're going to break some campus property
Oh,
and city
whoa.
lamps
Whoa.
like most college campuses do
Okay.
when they win a national championship. You know how it goes, Blake.
The Duke quad burns the benches if they
Yes,
beat Carolina in basketball.
yes, exactly. You know how it goes. So I
So I've
expect
heard.
if that
Sure.
happens, then I think the UConn Huskies are are the University of Connecticut campus is going to be lit. It's gonna go crazy, and the students are going to get out of control, and because you know how it is when win championships for any kind of sport, especially on college campuses. But I expect the campus of Source, Connecticut, in 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 the constitutional state of Connecticut is going to go crazy, and that's what's going to happen to this program when they win it on Sunday and Monday night. So get ready because Connecticut basketball is going to be is going to be delivering it on its own high expectations.
Okay. Big prediction. Big prediction. I think you're getting suckered into the fact that both UConn men's and women's are both in the Final Four. I feel like if they weren't both in the Final Four, maybe you would have picked them. But hey, listen, that's for your own mind to debate in that fact. BL, based on your predictions, you've got Illinois matching up against Michigan on Monday night in that title game. Who do you like in that one, man?
Yeah, I go Big Blue, baby. They're bringing it home.
Big Blue all
I
the way.
think with Duke being gone, that was Michigan's, Christmas present that came early right there. Yeah, Michigan's got it. It'll run away to the finals. I think they're going to win it all. Great fan base. The six man helps. I think they travel well. Where's the Natty this year?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Yeah, I don't know how
So
far
not
that is
too
from
not
Michigan, but I don't think too far.
super close to Illinois, not far from Michigan either as well. So
Oh,
definitely expect to
interesting.
see a
Yeah,
lot of maybe that's a good
Midwestern Big Ten kind of feel
yeah.
up there
sure.
in the basketball state.
Yeah, for
Jackson, we're
sure.
leaving the SEC out of football and basketball. What's going on, man?
I'll tell you what, Blake, I'll tell you what's going on. It's a down year in the ACC in basketball, down year in the SEC in basketball. Nothing to take away from the blue blood of Mark Pope and Kentucky or
Yeah.
Arkansas John Calipari, but I can assure you that Big Ten basketball has a lot of success so far this season, and other
Well,
than UConn
Jackson,
or Arizona,
what's
yes,
the crazy stat that a team from the Big Ten hasn't won a NCAA national championship since Michigan State in 2000? It's been 26 years, Blake.
Wow.
If you can believe that. I mean,
Wow.
that's crazy,
also,
right?
Wow.
yeah, that's right, Blake. And that game also took place in Indianapolis at the old RCA Dome against the Florida Gators, and that was the last time the Big Ten won a championship. So if it were to happen this year and break the drought, then that would be something that the fans can just taste
They got a
and,
chance.
and what they do and to really just and to really just taste it and know how they can break the drought and you just gotta really and just gotta really feel about those fans of how and all the Big Ten just gotta really feel you got to really feel for them because they have been starving for all these years later, and they finally get their moment for a chance at least to make it to the Monday night for the national championship game. It's really special.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think myself, I obviously had um, UConn projected to play against Arizona, and like I mentioned earlier, I think Arizona is going to be taking the crown here, Jackson. I think the Big Ten drought will continue because obviously Arizona now playing in the Big 12. Is that correct, Jackson? Arizona?
Yes,
Okay.
they used to play in the Pac-12, but now they're in
Yeah,
the Pac-12 because of the conference
bit confusing.
uh, um alliance thing rules perspective of for the NCAA for all those changes for the last few years than in years past. So that's part on the geographical standpoint, but that's really the part of the landscape of where college athletics is
Sure.
now than what it used to be.
Yeah, no, I've been very impressed with this Arizona team. So I personally have them going all the way. But I think to kind of wrap things up here on the men's side, I think it's been a fantastic tournament overall. I personally speaking, I think, you mentioned the new landscape of college basketball, Jackson. I think this tournament was a bit of an indication of that. We didn't really see too many, apart from Blake's High Point Panthers. We didn't see too many big upsets kind of in those early matchup. But what we did see, I think, was a strong contingent of one, two, three, four seeds from mainly the Big Ten, SEC, chucking the Big 12 in there a little bit as well. I think we see a lot because of like NIL and transfer portal. We saw a lot of strong teams just overall going into this tournament. So I think personally, it's been a pretty strong um, tournament in terms of like level of talent, level of player, level of coaching. Maybe you don't have the upstart, like 12, 13 seed making a run to the Final Four, but I think we've got some pretty strong teams that are well coached in this Final Four and in this tournament. So, Jackson, last word to you. It's been a good tournament. And what are your final thoughts on this men's NCAA tournament before we get wrapped up here?
That's going to be a great finish. We got only two games to go, and it's going to be it's going to be a great it's going to be a great matchup. down the stretch for those last two games to go down the stretch in Indy as we're just spinning around like Indy style with the racing. It's going to go back and forth. I expect it's going to be
Mm,
that
good
kind of Final
analogy.
Four because of the Final Fours in Indy this year. So I expect some twists and turns and some excitement and some and to get your popcorn ready kind of game
Okay.
because it's going to go down the wire. And I expect both these games are going to have some great finishes in the end because they're always going to there's because they're always going to be great and it's going to get more exciting. And that's the time of the year of the entire basketball season where it's going to get electric. It's going to get epic. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get loud. It's going to get more exciting, fun to watch. And I expect that the next two games in this Final Four and the national championship is going to be must see TV for all of our audience, if not in America and around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said, Jackson. Okay, well, that'll do us here for Good Guy Sports. NCAA men's Final Four preview. Some great games on Saturday, and I expect a great national championship game on Monday as well. So be tuned into that as well, and stay tuned as well for more content coming soon. Jackson, Blake, thank you, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Happy Easter, guys. See you, Jack. See you, Blake.
Happy Easter, everybody.